The United Way of Greater Waterbury is proud to recognize attorney Frank Scinto with the 2011 Volunteer of the Year Award. The United Way of Greater Waterbury Volunteer of the Year Award is presented annually to an individual who demonstrates outstanding volunteer leadership and service to the Greater Waterbury community. Attorney Scinto was born in Puerto Rico, graduated from Boston College Law School in 1983, and is a married father of 3 who lives in Cheshire, Connecticut. Passionate about making a difference in Greater Waterbury, Attorney Scinto has an extensive history with the United Way of Greater Waterbury. He has served as co-chair of the Basic Needs Impact Council, on United Way's allocation committees, brought his expertise to the strategic planning process, and more. Attorney Scinto is a past chair of the Nonprofit Assistance Initiative and mentor for local nonprofits. He serves as the president of the board for WellPath Incorporated, on the board of the Connecticut Community Foundation, as a coach for Cheshire Youth Baseball and Basketball, and has provided pro bono public counsel through his Southbury law practice. The United Way of Greater Waterbury is proud to award the 2011 Volunteer of the Year Award to attorney Frank Scinto.
It's very humbling to receive this award. It's not something that you think about as you're doing it. And in fact, before coming here tonight and before we came into dinner, I was talking to Kristen on the stage, and I was just reminiscing about my experience as a volunteer, and it dates back to the late 90s. I couldn't even remember when, but it's interesting. As I reflected back on my history, I realized that all my community involvement, all my civic involvement in Greater Waterbury stemmed from the United Way. I can't remember the year, but I can remember the events. I had just finished a long, grueling trial in Hartford. I was really burned out, and a couple of months later, one of my clients actually died of a massive heart attack. And when things like that happen in your life, you tend to reflect on what you're doing and where you're going. And sure enough, I spent a lot of time thinking about that. And I had been doing a little work in my church, but I had never really reached out to the community. And I'm sure a lot of you here can relate to this. It's very daunting if you even have the inclination to do some work in the community, if you don't have some charity that you're connected with, if you're not on a board. It's hard to make that initial step. Well, fortunately for me, the United Way had this campaign to get people onto their allocation committee, and this would happen every year. There wasn't very much experience needed, and so I signed up. And unbeknownst to me, that was going to lead me to all sorts of things. One thing led to another. Eventually, I chaired a couple of allocation committees. Pat McKinley, then I met through the United Way, thought I might have some interest in children's issues. All of a sudden, I was on the board of WellPath. Then Kristen started talking about the Nonprofit Assistance Initiative and how that might be an interesting challenge. And so I went off and did that. And then, of course, I met Ingrid Manning, because the NAI was a joint venture between the United Way and the Connecticut Community Foundation. So all of a sudden, I had an invitation to join the Board of Trustees of the foundation, and that's been a wonderful experience. So one thing just led to another, and when I first joined, I don't think we had that motto, Live United, but I know it's a couple of years old at least. But I've always embraced that, and I think for all of us volunteers here tonight, it captures the spirit of why we volunteer our time and effort and money and talent. I really had a chance to reflect on that a couple of months ago. I was in the car flipping through the channels, and I heard a pastor give this sermon on interdependence. You know, so I'm thinking, well, this sounds interesting, and I won't bore you with all the details of the sermon, but he had this beautiful metaphor for interdependence, and it related to a grove of giant redwoods. You know, and he talked about the fact that these huge trees, which apparently are as high as the Statue of Liberty, as wide as, you know, a school bus, and live for at least 1,000 years, if not 2, just have this incredible living community that goes on, is able to withstand all sorts of challenges, environmental challenges, and started looking into it, how is it that they do this? And he figured, well, it's probably got to do with their root system. They must have this incredibly deep root system that keeps them all going strong. And as he did more research and learned about it, he found out that, in fact, he was half right. It was their root system, but these redwoods apparently have a shallow root system, but what distinguishes them is that the roots touch each other. They're interconnected. They grab onto each other, and they create this incredible mesh across the grove of redwoods that strengthens them and gives them the ability to withstand all sorts of physical forces. But beyond that, and this is what I thought was the real cool part about the sermon, is that because of that physical contact, these trees were able to take water and nutrients from parts of the grove that had abundance and transport them through that root system to parts that had scarcity and needed they needed the water, needed the nutrients. And it really struck home to me. I mean, that's really what we're doing on a human scale. We're building a root system for our community to strengthen agencies and individuals. And I'm so proud to be a part of that. In closing, I just wanted to thank the United Way for providing me with that opportunity that's led to just a real wild ride and a magnificent adventure that is still going to go on. I wanted to thank, if I thanked all the agencies I've met through the allocation committee, we'd be here all night. But most of all, I wanted to thank the people at the foundation, my fellow trustees, the people at WellPath, Gary Steck, and our management and our board of trustees, who are an inspiration to me daily. I wanted to especially thank my firm, who's here tonight, Gager, Emerson, Rickert, and Bauer. They're a wonderful group of people. I've been practicing law with them for over 20 years now, and they truly, not only are they magnificent lawyers, but they truly embrace public service and civic involvement, and I'm so thankful and blessed to be a part of that firm. And last but not least, I wanted to thank my wife, Patty, the love of my life. And, it's funny, you think, well, Frank gets the award, and what did Patty have to do with it? But hey, I'm a smart guy. I understand that my wife has got a full-time law practice. She keeps our home going, everything in orbit, and brings peace to 150 Braemar Drive in Cheshire. And that is no small accomplishment. And without what she does, I couldn't do what I've done. And Patty, I thank you. Thank you all.